Hey everybody, what is going on? This is Anthony with the VR Game Rankings YouTube channel, and you know what? It's been a while. Where the hell have I been? You've probably been wondering. Well, I gotta tell you, the news over the last, I don't know how many days, has been rather lame. I've been watching the news, I've been taking a look at the news, and if there was anything pretty major, I definitely would have popped on and had a show real quick, but there just wasn't much going on. It was kind of dead for a little while there. So I took a little bit of a break, but I'm back. It is Monday, it is May 14th, and now we actually do have a pretty good catalog of stories to go through today. And let's go ahead and get into story number one. And story number one is one of my favorites. We're talking about Compound. Do you guys remember that game Compound? Of course, this is the retro roguelike shooter that has these old school graphics, and it just has a really good flow to it. A lot of people have really liked the demo for Compound that has seemed to be available for a very long time, but we've wondered, when is the actual full game gonna hit? Well, we do have some good news. Bevan McKechnie, who is the developer of Compound, he has announced in the comments section of a rock, paper, shotgun thread about his new game Compound that basically he hopes to enter early access sometime next week, assuming everything goes well. And this was last week. So what we're talking about here is we could possibly get our hands on Compound maybe this Thursday, maybe this Friday. Not sure exactly when it might arrive, but it is imminent. And I gotta tell you, we are very excited about this game. Now, there are a few questions that you have to ask in regards to Compound. Of course, the number one question we always have anytime there's a game that has an amazing demo and everybody has played the demo so much and everybody knows every little square inch of that demo, and we've really enjoyed the demo. We've seen this happen with games like Budget Cuts and games like Racket NX. We know the demos inside and out. And then the question becomes, well, you know, do I really want to buy the full game? Is there really going to be that much more than the demo? And that's always one of the questions that we have to ask when it comes to situations like this. Now, one of the good things here is Bevan McKechnie, not too long ago, he did show off that there are some new levels, there are some new backgrounds, there's new weapons, there's a couple of new enemy types. We just don't know exactly how much content is going to be in here, but there should be some additional content, probably enough worth picking it up. Of course, the other question you get to at that point then is, well, what about pricing? Is this going to cost $9.99? Is it going to be $14.99? Is this going to be $19.99? Could it even be more than that? We're not really sure. This is an individual developer, one single dude, as far as we know, that is basically making this game. I'm not sure if he's doing the music or possibly outsourcing the music, but it's basically one guy. I really feel like the price for this game is probably going to be $14.99. I mean, if I had to bet a lot of money on what the price would be, I'd probably say $14.99, maybe $19.99, maybe $12.99, somewhere in that kind of range, I think is probably what we're looking at here. And I think he's going to enjoy some tremendous success as long as the price is kind of kept in check a little bit there. And even if there isn't a tremendous amount of additional content over what we already have in the demo, there's so many people that have just been such huge fans of this demo and this style of game that I think a lot of people are willing to pay 10 to 15 bucks just to reward Bevan for the demo. Really, it's a lot of people have been so appreciative of this demo that it almost doesn't even matter. Anything else that is thrown on top is gravy. And so, but of course you do have new players out there. They've never played this demo. They want a legit game for their money. So we'll have to see how all of that shakes out. Hopefully it does really make it out later this week or maybe early next week if there is a little bit of a delay there. Or at least sometime in this month of May or very early June. Regardless, we are very excited about Compound. Now, speaking of sales and games that are hitting and how games are selling and all those kinds of things, What about Beat Saber? Beat Saber is a game that has really been in the news quite a bit over the last several weeks. It has enjoyed a very successful launch. We didn't know exactly how successful it was, but now we're finding out that they have sold 50,000 copies of Beat Saber. 50,000 copies, that is pretty damn good. Now, I'm not sure if these numbers are just Steam, or if these numbers also include the Oculus Store as well, or some kind of combination between the two of them. But regardless, that is some pretty good sales in a single week. In fact, there are a lot of developers that would probably cut off their left arm to get sales like this. So the team at Hyperbolic Magnetism, they have to be very thankful for what is going on here. Now, of course, if you were to multiply $20 by 50,000, that is 1 million. So obviously Hyperbolic Magnetism, these guys are millionaires, right? Not exactly, because obviously Steam does take a 30% cut. I'm guessing that the Oculus / Facebook, I'm guessing they take a 30% cut as well. That would leave 700,000 left over. And then of course, Hyperbolic Magnetism, it's not like they've worked on Beat Saber for a couple of days. They've been working on this thing for months and years. And so all of that investment, all of that has to be factored in as well. But I'm sure the developers there at Hyperbolic Magnetism, I'm sure they are very pleased with their success so far. And one thing you have to remember, the game isn't even available on PlayStation VR yet. Just imagine, I would have to guess when it hits PlayStation VR, they'll probably sell another 50,000 copies with very little effort, because this game has that kind of buzz and that kind of momentum. So hopefully they will be able to bang out a PlayStation VR version in the not too distant future. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into our third story. Our third story comes to us from PC Gamer. Now, I didn't read too deeply into this story. I basically just saw the headline, but what's going on here is PC Gamer has named the Oculus Rift as the best VR headset of 2018. I don't know if it's like 2018 so far, because we're kind of only halfway into 2018, or maybe that was just part of the title or whatever. But bottom line, they've gone out on a limb here and said that the Oculus Rift is their #1 recommendation. And I don't think it's very shocking that the Oculus Rift would be their #1 recommendation, because where else are you going to go? Right now, I think the Oculus Rift does have the best overall package of everything. Now, you could talk about the Windows mixed reality headsets, and you can say, well, hey, wait a minute here. You can get yourself a Lenovo Explorer, you know, for $220, somewhere in that kind of range. You can get yourself one of these Hewlett-Packard mixed reality headsets, or an Acer, you know, somewhere around $230, $240. That's an even better deal than the Oculus Rift, right? So how can they call the Oculus Rift the best VR headset out there, the best overall bang for the money and all of that kind of thing? Well, I think a big part of it is the controllers, and then also the Windows mixed reality platform has had some issues. Some people are complaining about, you know, getting it up and running, and it doesn't work very smoothly. There's some issues there. Some people complain about the actual headsets themselves. Some of them are a little bit flimsy or not incredibly comfortable, you know, so there are some of these issues here. And I think Oculus Rift, when you think about the entire situation, they've put together a great overall package. And the HTC Vive, you just got to pay quite a bit more. And then really with the HTC Vive, I think one of the reasons it becomes very difficult to recommend the HTC Vive to a lot of people out there is just the warranty and the service and the company that stands behind the HTC Vive. They just don't do a very good job of taking care of their existing customers. So if you buy a Vive, if you end up having a problem a couple of months later, you really could be hosed. So it really makes it difficult to try to recommend an HTC Vive, even though that price gap has shrunk quite a bit. So no real shock here in regards to the Oculus Rift being their recommendation at PC Gamer. Okay, the next story I wanted to get into is, I've always been kind of a sports fan and a video gamer as well. And when I got into VR originally, I started thinking about all the sports that I love: baseball, hockey, tennis, bowling, basketball, football. There's so many good sports out there. There's a lot of cool things that you could do. And I imagined how all of these would work in virtual reality. And the sad thing about it is we still have not gotten a lot of these sports. We really don't have a legitimate baseball game after all this time. Can you believe that? No baseball game really, but guess what? We are getting a legitimate hockey game, or maybe a somewhat legitimate hockey game, and it is coming in the very near future. Now, what I'm talking about here is Hockey Player VR. Now, I must say, Hockey Player VR is a pretty generic name. And if you watch the trailer that has come out for this game, it looks relatively generic. This doesn't look like the most exciting hockey game that we've ever seen in our lives, but hey, it's a legitimate freaking hockey game. Let's give these guys some credit. The developer is Brovision. Now there's a great name for you, Brovision. And this game supposedly is coming later this month to the Oculus Rift. Now this is an online multiplayer game. It's either a 2-player or a 4-player game, and apparently the goalies are artificial intelligence. The goalies are automatically controlled, so you don't worry about the goalies. This is actually kind of similar to Virtual Reality Football Club that we got not too long ago as well, where it's kind of 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, and the goalies are automatic. Now, of course, one of the big problems with Virtual Reality Football Club is that what happens if you get into the game and there just isn't anybody in the multiplayer lobby and you're kind of by yourself? Can you play against bots? What is the deal here? And as far as we know with this hockey game, I don't know that there's any kind of artificial intelligence where you could just play by yourself. So that is a concern, because especially when we're in this VR market, you just don't know. If enough people buy the game and really get hyped in it, you might have an online user base, but if it doesn't happen, or if it kind of fades away real quick, you're kind of left holding the bag, and it's like you want to play a game of hockey, but no one's around to play it. So we'll have to see what happens here. But the one thing I can say is 2MD football, 2MD VR football, that looked pretty generic, and we didn't think that was very good, and it turned out to be a really good game, and a lot of people absolutely love 2MD VR football, and this could be a very similar situation for Hockey Player VR. So we are looking forward to that later this month on the Oculus Rift, but it is also supposed to be coming to all kinds of different platforms, including some of the like Oculus Go and Gear VR and some of the Daydream and all kinds of different platforms. So Brovision is getting very aggressive in terms of their support for all these different platforms. Now, speaking of games that are coming in the very near future, I gotta mention Red Matter. Now, this game is coming to us from Vertical Robot, and this is an Oculus exclusive, and it's only 11 days away. I saw the trailer for this game, and I gotta say, it looks really good. I mean, the graphics look absolutely fantastic. This looks like a really cool adventure. The game is called Red Matter. I'm assuming you're kind of like on Mars. It looks very Mars-like, and it's kind of this outer space thing, but you landed on a planet, and you gotta kind of solve mysteries and get through the game. Now, you can pre-order this game right now for $29.99, or you can just go ahead and grab it on launch day for $35. Pay yourself an extra $5. So you have the option to pre-order or just wait. Either way, kind of expensive, so we are hoping for like a pretty decent in-depth game with this game. It is an Oculus exclusive. It does look to be a pretty big game. Kind of came out of nowhere. We've heard about this a long time ago, but didn't see anything about it for a long time. And then bam, we get this really cool looking trailer, and we find out that it's coming on the 24th. I mean, it is just around the corner. So one of the good things in the VR gaming industry right now is we do seem to continue to get games popping up repeatedly. I mean, obviously, budget cuts got delayed until May 31st, but it's really not that big of a deal because games continue to pop up on a relatively regular basis, and now we're looking forward to a Red Matter. Of course, this is an Oculus Rift exclusive. When will it hit Steam VR? Will it eventually come to PlayStation VR? we'll have to wait and see as far as that goes. Okay, I want to get into another quick little story, and this is something that goes back to last week. And we're talking about JDI. Now, JDI is Japan Display something. I forget what the I stands for, but basically what it is, it's a conglomerate between Sony, Toshiba, and Hitachi. It's kind of like they combine their resources and they're working on new technologies. And one of the things that they've been working on is screens that could be used in VR headsets. And they've come up with this new screen. It supposedly has 1001 PPI. It is a 3.5-inch LCD screen that supposedly works absolutely great for VR. And what I wanted to bring up here is this the screen? Are these the screens that are going to be in the next PlayStation VR 2? Well, PlayStation VR 2. Are they going to be in PlayStation VR 2? And when are we going to get PlayStation VR 2? And I talked about this for a little bit on the VR Roundtable podcast, the most recent episode, which is also available today. And one of the things I said on there is that I originally guesstimated that PSVR 2 would be coming November 2019. Now I kind of think that's a little aggressive, but you know what? I started thinking about it more. And if this JDI, if they're already talking about this 1001 PPI, that they already have it now, maybe, I don't know, maybe November 2019 could really happen. Maybe we could see a PlayStation VR 2 as early as November 2019. I'm looking forward to it. I hope they have a completely new tracking idea. I hope they have, I mean, obviously they have to have completely new controllers. And, you know, there's a lot of possibilities here. I think Sony did a really good job with the original PSVR in terms of what they were dealing with and how they were kind of hamstrung, and they wanted to make it affordable, and they wanted to try to put it together for the best possible scenario for their existing customers. I think they did a damn good job, but I'm really looking forward to their next crack at it. And my hope is with this new JDI display, the 1001 PPI version, it operates at 120 hertz, which makes it compatible, backwards compatible, with a handful of PSVR games that run at 120 hertz like Corix. So that makes good news as well, because they have this other screen that has a 803 PPI that operates at 90 hertz, and they kind of could be making that more for the PC VR market. And I'm hoping this 1001 120 hertz is actually really very specifically for PlayStation VR 2. So we'll have to wait and see how that works out. All right, folks, that's pretty much what I have for you on this program for today, and hopefully I'll be back in a couple of days with some more exciting news and a lot of more stuff to talk about. But that will go ahead and do it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Later.